What's going on, Cincinnati Bengals fans? It's your boy JP Football Fanatics here, back with you once again with another season prediction video for this time the Cincinnati Bengals for the 2023-24 season. So, this is one of my favorite teams I like to analyze, at least for the last couple of years I've liked to since Joe Burrow came into the league. I like analyzing it because I believe they're a team that could maybe make a Super Bowl run. They could be a team that could be Super Bowl ready. They could finally win one in their entire franchise history. And Joe Burrow's just Joe Cool. He's awesome. So, as Bengals fans, like you guys out there, or maybe some other people in terms of who love Joe Burrow and everything like that, where do you think the Bengals are going to end up this year? Do you think they're going to be making that Super Bowl run? Are they going to go ahead and get over that hump and win a Super Bowl? Do you think that this team could be, maybe just another piece, a key piece away from winning a Super Bowl? Or do you think, or do you think they still need a little bit more work? Or do you think they take a step back after losing two of their best safeties? Let me know in the comments down below. And before I get started, everybody, please be sure to drop a like on this video. And also, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, JP Football Fanatics. I enjoy doing this, guys, and I really want to be able to help you guys out the best way that I possibly can. But I can't do that unless, you guys do your part too in terms of subscribing and passing the word around. I really enjoy doing this with you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best time and the best content and the best opinions passed around like someone like myself. So if you do all those things, you're helping the channel grow. So thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started with analyzing the schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals. So again, like I said, my quick synopsis of the Bengals. I really do feel like this is a year where they can finally go into the league and catch some people by surprise. And I feel like this is a time where now the Bengals are right around that cusp of finally, being probably the top 3 team or the top 2 team in the league. I think they're a team that's ready to win a Super Bowl. I think they've got and gained some things in the draft. And yeah, just basically all those things too. I feel like this is a team that's Super Bowl ready. Can't say they're exactly my Super Bowl favorite yet, but I think they should definitely be considered one, especially on the AFC side of things. So let's start off with week number 1. You got to play the Cleveland Browns. I believe, like I said when I did my Browns prediction video, I believe that you're going to split with the Browns. I think you're going to lose to them in week 1, and I think you'll go into week 18 and you'll beat them in week 18 in the final game of the season. Now, the Browns have always played the Bengals really, really well and very tough too. Last year in Cleveland, it was played by Jacoby Brissett because of Watson's, his suspension deal and everything like that. It was suspended for the first 12 weeks of the season. So Jacoby Brissett went into this game and he looked like an absolute superstar when he went in to play in this game against the Bengals. So I expect big things. I think Deshaun Watson will come into this game this year, as a full-time starter this year because of no more suspensions and everything. I think he'll come in. I think he'll come out strong. And I think Kevin Stefanski is going to have a tough game plan for Zach Taylor and the Bengals to be able to, be able to play again. So I think they're going to win in week 1. And then, I'm sorry, the Browns will beat them in week 1. And I think the Bengals will lose to them and the Bengals will beat them in week 18, excuse me. Then you got to go play the Baltimore Ravens, go back to Cincinnati and play the Ravens. Now, 2 really tough teams that you got to face back-to-back weeks. You start out the season with Deshaun Watson to now Lamar Jackson. Again, like the Browns, I believe you're going to split with the Ravens this year. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. It may not exactly work out in this favor, but I do believe that maybe you could find a way to beat them in week 2 early in the season, to avoid like that slow start like you did a year ago. And that you beat them in week 2, and then you go ahead and lose to them in week 11 on Thursday Night Football. I believe that's exactly how it's going to play out for this year. I think they're going to split with the Ravens, maybe not in this exact way, but the Ravens are very, very improved. I think they're a team that's going to be definitely competing with the Bengals for the AFC North division title. So that really plays a big factor there. Week 3, you play the Rams on Monday Night Football. This is a rematch of the Super Bowl in 2022. You should be able to beat the Rams. A nice draft class for them nonetheless for the Rams, but the Bengals are too superior. I think they're way above Sean McVay's team right now. I mean, besides Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, there's not really a whole lot yet to really get scared about. So you should be able to beat them in week 3. Week 4, you play the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. The Bengals have owned the Titans the last 2 seasons. They've owned them in the AFC divisional round, and they've also beat them last year in the regular season. I think that trend kind of continues. I think you're going to beat them in week 4 because I think the Titans are good enough. They're not a great team. They'll probably take a step back this year. I think Mike Vrabel will keep it a low-scoring game like he's had the last couple of years against them. But I feel the Bengals are too strong for the Titans. And, I feel like they're Joe Burrow and the company is going to be really hard to really stop for this Titans defense and everything. So, with the Titans only having Derrick Henry really to really rely on, maybe if Treylon Burks comes in there and puts on a show, but we'll see how it really goes. But I think the Bengals right now will beat them in week 4. Week 5, you play the Cardinals. This should be a nice, easy win for the Bengals. You should be able to beat the Cardinals. They're the worst team in the league, the Cardinals. So that's that. Then you go to week 6 and you play the Seattle Seahawks. I can see this game definitely going either way. I think the Seahawks are definitely improved. They definitely should be a contender in the NFC, I believe. They picked up some really nice pieces. They picked up another running back. They fixed up on that defense a little bit. That should be hopefully better this season. And Geno Smith played like at a Pro Bowl level. So I could really potentially see the upset happening. And I think the Seahawks could potentially go in there and they could beat the Bengals. I think this is like a legitimate upset. So I think the Seahawks, I don't know what it is. This could definitely change at some point. But I think the Seahawks could find a way to upset the Bengals here in week 6. So you're going into the bye week, and then you have a 4-2 record right there. So it's not exactly the record that you want. You kind of want to be undefeated at this point, but you're playing some really tough teams here that's going to prevent that. Then you go to week 8 after the bye week. You got to go back, and then you got to play Kyle Shanahan's defense of the San Francisco 49ers. Another game that is not going to be easy for them. I believe the last time these two teams, I think the 49ers beat them in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Another really tough game that's really going to go either way. At this point, it could be Brock Purdy that's starting. It could be, Sam Darnold, who really does know. So I'm going to kind of leave that game blank for now because I think it's going to be a really tough game to really analyze and see how that's going to work out. Then you go into week 9, you play the Bills. I talked about this a little bit in my Bills prediction video. It's a Sunday Night Football game. It's going to be very emotional. DeMar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest during this game for the Bills. Very emotional game, but just kind of like the way that it started out during that regular season game in the AFC divisional round. I think the Bengals really took it to town in terms of really running the ball very nicely and passing on the ball and doing whatever they really wanted on Buffalo's defense. And Josh Allen and company couldn't get anything started on offense. So I think the Bengals will win in week 9. I think they're the better team right now, at least on paper, than the Bills. But don't be surprised if the Bills did come out on top and beat them, though. But right now I'm going with the Bengals to win in week 9. Week 10, you play the Houston Texans. I mean, the Texans are improved, but they're not at the speed of the Houston Texans. You should be able to beat them. Week 12, you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe you're going to split with the Steelers again, just like you did last year. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. I don't know if the Steelers will beat you the first time and then you beat them in Pittsburgh the second time, or vice versa. So I'm going to just say for right now, I think you beat them in week 12, and then week 16 towards the end of the year that they beat you guys. So that's the way that I kind of have it playing right now. Then you go to week 13, and then you play Jacksonville Jags on Monday Night Football. Another really nice game here too. Both quarterbacks, number one overall picks, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, two really good coaches, Zach Taylor and Doug Peterson. Both teams that are pretty similar to one another, a really explosive offense and nice weapons. Uh, two good defenses too, and two really good run games too. Jacksonville's run game might be a slight hair better, I would feel like, than the Bengals. The Bengals defense is better than the Jacksonville Jags, although you could make a legitimate argument that the Jags could potentially go in there and play good defense. So I'm going to call this one an upset, and I think Jacksonville could probably beat you guys in week 13. I think it could be an upset win for you guys. You lost a couple of pieces on defense, and that's going to be really hard for you to slow down some of these the schemes that Doug Peterson and company are going to have prepared for you, with Calvin Ridley coming back into play and Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne, a couple of those guys too. So I think the passing attack will be a lot. And plus this game is being played in Jacksonville, Florida. So things does get a little bit sticky down that way. So, and the Jags usually play pretty well at home. So I think they'll beat you guys in week 13. Week 14, you play the Indianapolis Colts. I think you beat the Colts. I can see this really being a really close game, just because the defense of the Colts is still good. So maybe that could really give you some advantage there too. I could see it like being like a last second drive, and then the Bengals come down to beat you guys. So I could see this game really going either way, but you should be able to beat the Colts. Week 15, you play the Vikings. I think you should be able to beat the Vikings at home. I mean, I like the Vikings. I think they've done some nice things in the offseason so far. But I do have a lot of my questions about them too, in terms of defense. And I think I don't think they're matched up very well with any of the receivers for the Bengals, like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. Then you go to week 17, and then you got to play the not Cincinnati, I'm sorry. You got to play the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch of the AFC Championship game from a year ago. Patrick Mahomes finally got his win over Joe Burrow and company. This game is now being played in Kansas City, and it's not being played in Cincinnati. So that really does make a big difference there. So, this is one of the last games I have to figure out, and also week 8 too. So I'm going to say they probably in week 8, I'll go back to week 8. I think they can beat the 49ers because of the quarterback situation. And then week 17, I could see the Kansas City Chiefs going in and beating them in week 17. So right now we're looking at 11-6 record. So slightly worse than it was last year, but they've got some really tough games if you really think about it. Like they got to play they got to play the Ravens twice, they got to play the Browns twice, and they got to play the Steelers twice. So, that's not an easy division to play in. Then you got to play Seattle, that's a tough game. You got to play the 49ers, a tough game. The Bills, a tough game. What other ones are in there? The Chiefs, you got to play as a tough game. The Jaguars, a tough game. So you've got a lot of really tough games in here. So maybe one of these games I could see being potentially a win. Like maybe if they do split with the Steelers, like that could be a potential case. And then you can make a legitimate argument that they could go 12-5. So I would say anywhere between 10 to 11, 12 wins is pretty feasible for the Bengals this year. So I think the overall record, I think I'm going with this year that I could see being the case too, because of the couple of players that they lost on defense. I think 11-6 is pretty reasonable too. Or they could go in and they could beat Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is a good team, but they're also a beatable team too. So maybe they could win down there too. So 12-5, 11-6, around that time frame. So what do you guys think about as far as the Bengals? Do you think this is a pretty reasonable record? Do you think I really talked enough about like how some of these teams are going to do this year? Like, do you think I really analyzed it enough? Do you agree with everything I'm saying? Let me know in the comments down below. So before I start signing off, please be sure to drop a like on this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, and hit that notification bell, because anytime that I post new content on this page, you guys will be notified as soon as possible in terms of when I do that. And, you're helping the channel grow. And that's exactly what I want. I want the channel to grow, and I want it to be bigger and better than what it is already. So do all those things. All will be good. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's JP Football Fanatics saying thanks, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.